Tune in to Black Hair Pride Presents, the Real Talk Show, where we talk about friendship, love, and
But I
purpose.
want to kind of
Right?
slowly bring her in because she doesn't have family here in the United
Okay,
States, and
Jaden, next
I
side,
think her being a part of this and
Jacob, boy,
having someone to talk with and
Jacob,
just to hear what's on her
are
mind and see
you
what's going on with her, I think that she would be someone
all the way to
who would
the
be a good choice to have support, especially with being in the United States and stuff, and just kind of just see where it leads her to be being a part of this
Okay.
for support.
Okay. That sounds good. Sounds good. And how did you meet her?
I actually met her. We met on a Facebook group,
Okay.
and we became study partners. It's a GED study group, and we became study partners. So we actually study sometimes together.
Cool, cool. That's cool. Well, you can bring her in whenever you feel ready,
Okay.
whenever the timing works out. Um, we'll take it one moment at a time.
Okay.
That's cool that your mentor wants to get interviewed.
hmm
Um, okay. Did he give you a timeline when, or just he kind of?
No, I am going to once I get the questions together, let you look over them, and we decide on that, and then I'm gonna see like, would it be better for him for a weekday or a weekend, and then that way we can kind of decide on which day will be good to bring him in,
Okay.
and if we want to have an audience, or if you wanted to just be kind of like me interviewing him, and then you kind of ask background questions as well, um, then we can kind of see how it goes.
Okay. I'm just making notes right now.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's good that he gave us the go ahead on that. We can just kind
Mhm.
of like um pencil it in for now, and then we can figure out what date to do that.
Okay.
We have some time. Did you notice I put the meeting on the main?
November 19th, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Evelyn made a suggestion to put it on the main page. I thought that was a good idea. So
Okay.
I went ahead and put it on the main page. Um, that might get us a couple new people that may be interested in learning more about the process.
Okay.
Um, so I'm thinking that maybe sometime after that 19th, we can decide what day would be best to interview with your mentor, and then
Okay.
maybe we could have a little audience,
Okay.
at that time. We'll have a couple people that maybe want to hear that. Um, Otherwise, we'll be prepared to do either one, a solo interview or a group interview. Either one will be prepared for that.
Okay.
But I'm thinking that we can do that sometime after the 19th.
Okay.
That way we could be most ready, get some practice in with
hmm
some other interviews and make it worth his time and, make it worth everyone's time. Okay.
OKKK with the red shirt,
Um,
red glasses,
ta-ta-ta.
purple rag. What are we talking about today? What does the Black Hair
Anything else
Party
you want to catch up
present?
on before we move on?
Oh, I put the books in, so I'm waiting for them to come into the library.
Okay.
For the 48 Laws of Power. So as soon as that is ready for pickup, because they're only doing like curbside delivery, so I actually have to go online, choose the book I want, and then once they have it pulled off the shelf, then I can go in and get it. So I should have that by this week, by the end of this week.
The 48 Laws of Power is a must read. Not to suggest that you should practice the techniques within it, but awareness is key. So being aware that these tactics and strategies are used by individuals in the real world, in the corporate world, better prepares you to thrive. So the 48 Laws of Power, shout out Robert Greene. That's probably some of the best work modern day author. He got some good work. Not saying that I agree or disagree. I'm just saying it is impactful, and it is a clear articulation of a worldview and or perspective.
Cool.
Robert
That's
Greene, shout
cool.
out.
Um, all right. Okay, well, we can go ahead and get started. It looks like no one else is joining us at the moment.
Okay.
I did put out some extra messages to two additional people that I thought would be interested in sharing their personal story of South.
Okay.
And then what I was thinking was the best way for us to move forward is to kind of like again, you know, since it's me and you, then let's focus on you,
Uh-huh.
and let's focus on building your team. So who, like, let's talk about who you would want to work with, and then
what does it mean to move forward and build a team? So moving forward, we're trying to build a team for her. That means like, all right, who her squad? Like, if we got a person with drive and achiever, then we need to match that achiever with socializers, vibers, and explorers. We need to build a team. We need to have people that are coaches, people that are players, people that are scouts and agents. We got to surround talent with more talent that has skills in different areas.
we can be specific about who we find to want to work with you. Now, obviously, if
By specific, I mean we got to choose the ideal candidate, the ideal person to match her with. So it's about being matched, like matchmaker. We're matchmakers, so we need to match the best personalities to get the best outcome.
if someone comes in that's not, you know, ideally or the best case scenario, we can still work around it. But if we're still in the beginning stages and we have the ability to kind of like put it out there, like I want to work with a blank person from blank person, you know, then we can go ahead and make that happen easier. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
What's your, so if you're building your team, boom, you know, I'm supporting you with your story of self, and that's gonna get taken care of. You have your other mentor that's gonna, like, you know, participate, let you interview him, and probably other mentors will probably let you interview them too, I suppose. You know, we get practice. What's what do we call him? Is it Mr. Lace?
Mr. Kavon, and it's spelled Kavon.
Is it Kavan Lacey?
Yep, Lacey.
Okay. And is it Kavan is his first name, Mr. Kavan? Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I could imagine we'll interview him. But then now let's talk about like your personal team. The people that
Preferably, I have this idea format. Now, if it's someone who automatically wants to be a part of my team, I have no problems with that. I think I would do really good with someone who is dealt with or who is dealing with a lot of hurt. And it doesn't have to be a specific area in life, but someone who's dealing with a lot of hurt, who's learning to just focus on themselves, whether they have been divorced or
someone that's on their journey of self-love, a journey of self-discovery, which encompasses self-love. So when we at this point where we go through this trauma and then we behave a certain way, we're experiencing certain experiences in life, we get to the point where we want to change, we want a difference. And at the point where we want a difference, then we can start making them different choices that get us
or is going through a divorce, then dealt with bad relationship problems. It doesn't
Want someone
necessarily
with
have to be
experience.
physically abused like me or anything like that, but someone who's looking for hope for the future and they're really just trying to find themselves. I think I would do really good with them being a part of my team because I have been in those different type of situations and things like that. Someone who is also maybe a student in school like myself who needs that extra push to get like their homework done, or they just feel overwhelmed, especially, you know, with COVID going on and things like that.
So Alex is looking for people that she can contribute to their life, people that she could sow into their life, people that she could help improve their life. She wants to be useful.
What else could I say? I'm even open to dealing with like young men, not just all women. I'm open to dealing with the young men whose ages, if we get from like 16 through maybe like 26, that just need some guidance. And the reason why I say that is because my son is 18, so I can kind of typically relate to some of the things, you know, that, you know, teenagers are going through, or I could be even a support to, you know, kind of talk to them and stuff like that. But I'm open to me.
So basically what she's saying now is she's narrowing down some people she'd like to work with. She's like mention it out. She's like focus, hyper focus is that's what this conversation is doing. Like, let's identify these individuals because then we can find them. If we identify them, then we can find them.
Men and women. I'm not going to put a, you know, under gender. I'm not going to put a specific label on gender. But that would be my main focus.
Okay. All right, that makes good sense. So let me kind of just repeat that. So I put idea. Obviously, it could be anyone that wants help. We can work with.
Mhm.
But if we're going to go out and like find the ideal person, so we're looking at someone between like 16 and 26.
Mhm.
Someone who's I put searching, like, or wanting better. And then by saying that they wanting better, it's assuming that they've been through something.
Mhm.
And then you're open to male and female. It looks like you'd be stronger with females,
Mhm.
but you're also open with males given the fact that you do have a son.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, okay. So based on that, I think let's go ahead and have a narrow target, and then
Okay.
obviously we can open it up. So with 16 to 24, single mothers maybe, or like
Teenage mothers. I've been a
teenage.
teenage mother. Um.
Okay. With it some sort of history of abuse.
Yep.
Um,
And you know what? I'm going to make that between the ages of 16 through 30.
It's a bit
okay.
wide to narrow that.
Okay.
There's a big difference between a 16-year-old and a 30-year-old. However, we want to serve as many people as want to serve. So it's not like can't serve them, but ideally, you want to, they're in different places in life. A 16-year-old in a different place. And I guess he's trying to say I can, get it from the start to the end. But ideally, you want to like more narrow.
Because I don't want someone to feel like, oh, I'm 29 and I can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, so this is not about ever excluding anyone, but I think it's just to give you a focus. But
Okay.
we can still work with 30 and under.
Okay.
We just knowing that maybe the ones that are closer to 30 are going to be probably a lot more mature.
Like mature as far as they can become part of our leadership, you know what I mean, on the board. Like when we look at that age, we can kind of see, or maybe if they're just looking to get support and maybe we built them to being a part of us.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think, both younger and older, maturity does vary from person to person. But I do think that by 30, they'll have more life experiences than someone who's 16, 17 with a baby. But
So
nonetheless,
maybe like 6.
And when you build a team, then it's like you definitely want a quote unquote job description. Like, so what's their relationship to you? What are their duties and responsibilities? What is their role? What are they going to contribute to the big picture? And it's good to know that up front, to be clear with that, because then you can work off of that. You can make the necessary changes and adjustments and or corrections as you go along. So it's important to know that. It's important to have that ahead of time. Like, what do you need? So you need help. You need someone to do your social media. You need someone to play like the role of the marketing or CEO, CFO. Like, what is it that you need? Create a job description for it.
16 through 17, like that age range, we can look at more at guidance for them.
okay, and then for the older, more like what?
So we coach the young, and we, I guess it's coaching on both ends. So one appears to be more intensive coaching, and the other one maybe more leadership, getting them into leadership. Life coaching versus leadership.
Guidance and support for the younger ones, and for the older ones, we can look more at trying to build them up.
Okay, I got you.
Professional development. That's
right.
So more like coaching and training.
So coaching and professional development. The difference between coaching and professional development.
And obviously, I guess, we could do this for the younger as well. For whoever is ready, we're able to do it. But we're just kind of talking out loud, and we know that the older might be more interested in the coaching and training, whereas the younger is guidance and support. And then that'll look different, probably based on the way the event is. Like if we do like a live stream where it's targeted like a younger crowd, it might feel a little different than if we did it for the older crowd. So that makes sense. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna just keep running down my list. All right, so boom. So we got your target person. I'm gonna mix conversations now. So when I was creating the live stream announcement on the Youth Build alumni page, I wrote something like a taboo-free talk. You remember seeing that?
Hmm.
Okay, so let me talk about what that means. So taboo-free talk would mean that we would host a live stream where we can talk about anything. Like, so whoever's calling in or whoever's tuning in can interact with whoever's hosting the Zoom or hosting the live. And it's, taboo-free talk, meaning there's nothing that you can't talk about. Now, those conversations can be a little challenging to facilitate because, anything can come up. But with practice, you'll be able to see how to, navigate the conversation one way or another.
Okay.
And at least in the beginning for now, I'm going to be a part of them, doing my best part to like be an example of how we could do it and improve on it as we go along. So with taboo-free talk, because anything and everything can come up, I wanted to have some conversations with you ahead of time so that we're able to be prepared on how to like interact with different conversations as they come up. So the main thing, and it goes with the recommendation to read the book, The 48 Laws of Power. So in my life, the theme of power has come up a lot, and I paid a lot of attention trying to understand power and try to understand how it impacts, how we get along in society and how we get work done. So to host a taboo-free talk type conversation, show, discussion, live stream, etc. The way that I look at it is, as a facilitator, I'm trying to stay neutral. I'm not trying to like take one position or the other in an emotional way. That way, I can always not take anything personal. So by staying neutral, I won't take it personal. But then I want to observe what position the person that I'm talking to is taking. Are they taking a dominant position or a submissive position? And then by dominant, that's what I mean more like a dominant position would be more like of a powerful position. A submissive position would be more like submitting. So just like what the words mean, to dominate or to submit. So I'm trying to be conscious of that when they're talking so that I can see like, okay, where is this conversation headed? Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, just trying to like get context of, okay, so we're having this conversation, I'm talking to this person, and I'm understanding that they're being dominant. When they're being dominant, that can come off as being aggressive, that can come off as being like assertive, or like it can, it can feel a certain way. When they're being submissive, it can also feel a certain way, but in a different way. And like, it might be more emotional because someone could be more passive aggressive. Someone could be a little bit more manipulative or deceptive in the way that they communicate. But I'm still trying to figure out whether, where they are with a dominant or submissive outlook. And then when we're talking the taboo-free talk, so there are certain categories that can come up. I'm gonna go ahead and just list them and then we'll talk about it. So one of the main things that people might talk about is money. And I put that in the wealth category, so wealth. So someone might be interested in understanding how to make more money, how to keep money, how to, financial literacy, anything having to do with money. Now, when people are talking about money, are they talking from a dominant perspective or a submissive perspective? So I'm just trying to understand that, not to judge it, but just so that I can understand the conversation and where it's going, because it can go anywhere.
And then for you to know how to react to what they're saying and be able to respond in a professional way, because at the same time, we don't want to talk to people who is constantly like dominant other people or being, like you said, like dominant in a disrespectful way, because being dominant all the time isn't a bad thing, but it can turn out to be a bad thing if this individual or an individual is not being neutral about the situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. If it's up to the facilitator to control the conversation,
Okay.
And
control the conversation, more like to guide the conversation, to facilitate the conversation, to be sure that it's a fair and balanced conversation. That's the role of the facilitator.
The more practice the facilitator has, the more likely they are to de-escalate the situation and not let it turn into a big thing. But it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But at the same time, we shouldn't feel pressure beyond doing our best. All we can do is our best anyway. But yeah, knowing what their position is when they're talking matters, because if they are being aggressive to other people, then, as a neutral facilitator, we can kind of deactivate that or de-escalate that by bringing attention to the specifics of what's going on. Because they may not be noticing their demeanor either. They may just be being themselves and they're talking and they're excited about it. So boom, people are going to be talking about money. Okay, so where are they coming from? Are they coming from a dominant perspective, submissive perspective? Are they wanting to learn, or are they wanting to share? Because some people might want to come on and they have a lot to share, and that's great too, because we can learn from everybody. By facilitator, I'm trying to see, okay, what's happening here? Am I trying to take out information by asking questions, or am I trying to give information through asking questions as well? So we have wealth. And then we can come back and talk a little bit more detail about each one of them, but we'll just kind of go over the main categories. Another thing that can come up in the taboo free talk has to do with intelligence. Like, you know, people have obsessions with knowledge, and people have ideas that, you know, what they believe is right, what others believe is wrong. So as a facilitator, we have to be able to navigate around that when it comes to, you know, the different categories, like wealth. Intelligence is the next one. Because someone might, you know, make comments where they're making other people feel dumb, or feel, you know, stupid, or feel less than, not worthy, by how they express themselves. Again, so being conscious at, okay, so where are they coming from? Are they being aggressive about it? Are they being passive aggressive about it? You know, and how can I best respond? You know, by being a neutral facilitator, we're basically saying that nothing is better than the other. We're just trying to have a conversation so that we can get the communication going. We can get to some sort of understanding, or just get information out in the open. But yeah, so when it comes to intelligence, this is where it's possible for like political conversations to come up. This is where it's possible for religious conversations to come up. Because when we're talking about right and wrong, like, okay, so then how do we judge right and wrong? You know? So like, how would you define right or wrong? Like, what would you call right? What would you call wrong?
Ethics.
To me, there's really, I wouldn't even, like, when we're thinking about the topics and the discussions that we're going to have, I wouldn't say there's a right or wrong, but it's a distance with mutual respect. And what I mean by that is, you know, like getting loud, arguing, you know, people have freedom of speech. You can go ahead and say whatever you want to say. You know, we're not here to talk bad amongst each other's, or bad name someone, here to make someone humiliated or feel bad. And just because someone else doesn't agree to what you have to say, that doesn't make you a bad person. As long as you're able to state what you have to state in a respectful way. And that's with anything, with political, religious. If you can be respectful of saying, like, say someone has something bad to say about a Jehovah's Witness, you know, okay, you can go ahead and speak your mind. Just be respectful of it. State your opinions. Just be respectful of it. Because mind you, you never know if there's a Jehovah's Witness in the room, and we don't want them to feel bad about this. But you are entitled to say what you feel. Just be respectful.
Okay. And when you say respectful, like, how do we draw that? How would we draw that boundary? What does that look like for you?
Like the tone that you use, specific language. You know, we're all adults, young adults. So with the tone, I'm actually writing this down. The language, because we do have viewers, and we may have younger.
Tone, we got volume, we got word choice. So depending on those, you send a vibration, you send a feeling and emotion that can affect those that are within the hearing distance. And then they react accordingly. So then their response then starts this chain reaction. You know, you react, they react, you react, they react, and then now there's a situation.
Younger, you know, a younger audience, and we don't want to constantly be hearing cuss words, or, you know, we want to be professional about it. So professionalism.
No.
Respect my
you do not, individual does not have to always agree with someone. And of course, we'll probably come across debates, you know, but we would rather you all have a debate, a respectful debate, than an argument.
And then, you know, one thing that we could do is, like on the taboo free talk, we could keep conversations when they start escalating between ourselves and the individuals. So rather than having people talk at each other, we can have people talk to us.
Okay.
So while someone's having an opinion that might be negative about Jehovah's Witness, for instance, or whatever other kind of person, we can have that conversation with them, so that then we're able to reframe their words and direct it at the other side without maybe some of the tone or the language that that person was able to communicate it in.
So that means we basically rephrasing, we're rephrasing the argument or the perspective or the position of the individual that is and potentially going to be disruptive to others. And not to like change the words, but just to like be able to take any charge off of it. And by charge, I mean the emotion, like take off like those words that are like triggering, if it's not necessary. Now, sometimes it could be necessary, but for the most part, it's not. And clarity is better, and precision is better, because then you can have the communication, have the conversation that you want to have, not just create a situation that's filled with drama and emotion.
And then at the same time, we can create other spaces for people to have debates. You know, maybe if it starts getting escalated, then we can actually de-escalate it by tabling the conversation, or saying, okay, then, you know, we'll leave it at that, and then we'll schedule a time when we can just focus on this conversation. And I think it's probably best if we're mindful of that when we have maybe new users who are trying to get a good experience with what we're all about. And then rather than having them tune into a show where we're just maybe arguing or it seems a bit chaotic, then at least we can have some structure and form where we can, you know, move the conversation in the direction that we want.
And some people prefer order, some people prefer structure, and they perform better in those situations. And others like the whole the open space, the free spirit, freestyle approach. So there's gonna be people that are gonna be attracted to different ways of expression. So it's like, it's on us to basically use our discretion to choose the words we choose based on who we're talking to. You know, what's the goal? The idea is we want to connect, we want to build rapport, we want to have an impact. And ultimately, we don't want to tune anyone out. We want everyone to tune in. And if you tune in, and you know, hopefully we can provide some value that allows you to be able to improve your position, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it might be.
And then again, you know, we'll continue talking more about this over time. Right now, we're just kind of going over it. You know, there's like going over it for the first time, and then we'll go over it again in with some other language over a different topic. But I think it's good that we talk about this because when additional people do join us, like the easiest thing for us to do is to default to a taboo-free talk. Like for instance, if it's my first time tuning in, I want to see a little bit of structured conversation, and I want to see a little bit of freestyle, I think. So that way, like, okay, so I came on the Zoom and I got, you know, some good information about what it means to do the story of self. You know, I came on the Zoom, I got some good conversation on relationships. You know, someone gave, you know, a short description of their relationship and a situation they're dealing with, and then there was a conversation about it. It could have got a little bit heated, but it never got like confrontational. So yes, I think by you and I or whoever's hosting it being flexible facilitators, then we can meet the needs of all the people that are, you know, tuning in.
And I think financial literacy will be a good first topic. I will be personally willing to do some research behind that, just to be ready to give information as well as, you know, bring up different topics, you know, for our audience. But I think that would be something really good to start off with, because that will not find much debate in that. We'll be able to give a lot of information out, as well as individuals asking us different questions. And with amongst that research, when I do find that, you know, go to different actual factual websites. I think that would be something really good to start off with.
Yeah, and I want to take some pressure off of us trying to do research, because I'm sure that you know people that do that for a living, probably someone who is a financial counselor or someone who has some experience in, you know, with money or whatever, that we can just bring them onto the show and have them be a panelist. Like they can kind of sit there, and then
that's a good idea.
Whenever questions come up that maybe are a little bit more specific than what we can handle, then we can have someone there that can handle that, you know. I mean, we can do that for everything. We can do that for like intelligence, for wealth, for, you know, branding, on all the topics that we're interested in. We can
another one would be good is time management.
Mhm.
You're on point. You're on point.
I think that would be. What do you think about that topic? Time management.
So what I think is
Gotta work that calendar. That calendar is about time. So you got all these hours in the day, 24 to be precise. You know, about 6 to 8, 4 to 8 hours you sleeping. So the rest of the day, what you doing? You know, so portion of that you moving for the sake of exercise, and then how are you educating yourself? How are you improving your position? Each day is an opportunity to improve your position. It's like when you awake, it's your move. What move you making?
is that the most that
You making power moves, you moving queens and rooks, or you making, you know, small moves like pawns and bishops, knights.
it's best to do the most by example. So for instance, right now, me and you are doing daily streams. So for someone who's trying to get better, you know, maybe someone who falls under the mentee category, like someone who wants you want someone on your team, right? We find someone for your team, and we're trying to figure out, you know, how can we best serve them. By knowing how much time they have to dedicate, then we can know how to work with them. If they say they can tune in daily, well, they're going to be like this daily. You know, we're going to be talking daily, and then, you know, time management is going to be talked about as part of it, because they got to prepare, you know, to be on the live daily or whatever. So we can have all those categories be things that we figure out how to address by being an example, and then we can also bring people in to talk about it, or we can talk about it ourselves, because time management, you know, it's like major, you know, for a lot of people who feel stuck, or, you know, that feel like they can't accomplish something, you know, time management usually helps them get over that hump.
Right, because you got to figure out what is it that you're willing to sacrifice for the thing that you want. Until you discover what it is you're willing to sacrifice for the thing that you want, you're going to be stagnant. You're going to be on pause. And to get on play, you got to discover what that is, so then you can take your attention and you can focus it on that category or on that thing that you want to improve at, which means you take time away from those things that are distracting you.
But rather than us focusing on a lot of the details, which we could, like right now we're talking and then we can make lists and all that, to keep your mind at ease where you don't feel overwhelmed. As a facilitator, we don't have to have the answer. You know, like all we're doing is trying to ask questions so that someone else can answer the question, or so that the answer comes up through conversation. So when we have people and you see someone that reminds you of you, for instance, then you're like, okay, so I think time management is important for me to talk about. And then you just figure out how to get time management into the conversation, which might be like, oh, tell me about your daily schedule. Does it work for you? Okay, like, could it be better? Like, do you have a routine? Is like, do you have a routine from the time you wake up to lunchtime, or the time you wake up till the time you get home? You know, but so all I'm saying is that, you know, every idea that you're having is going to be good because it's probably something that you went through. But I wouldn't want you to feel pressure to have to like know anything, or, you know, because basically you can just show up just like this. We can talk like regular humans and feel where, okay, I feel that we need to address this topic more than that topic, and then we play it out, you know, in human, you know, right? Because I don't want to get robotic about it. I don't want people to feel like they're being taught. You know, it's about what kind of experience can we provide, you know? So if we look at it, okay, we're inviting people to this taboo-free talk to provide them an experience, you know, and then what are they going to get from this experience? Well, at the end of this experience, they're going to feel empowered. Empowered for what? Empowered to share their story, empowered to want to join us and help other people share their stories, or help people, you know, get connected to information, you know. So then that's kind of the idea, is like, okay, let's provide experiences that can produce results.
And just to kind of like, for the sake of transparency, I am on a mission. And the mission is to create a time capsule. I want to collect the best stories of the best people that are alive, you know, like, why not? We got to like document our stories, document our struggles, document our successes, document our achievements. Why not? And we have an opportunity to do that through this show, by interviews, by stories, by shows, etc. And the Taboo Free Talk Show is an opportunity to source people that can, you know, potentially contribute to the time capsule. And the time capsule is designed to collect information from one generation for a future generation.
So we have, you know, conversations about money, conversations about intelligence. Then there's also going to be a dynamic that shows up that has to do with like sex appeal. And by sex appeal, I mean, so basically like wealth, intelligence, sex appeal, and like emotional intelligence, these are all like sources of power. And then these are also privileges. So some people have the privilege to be wealthy. When you have the privilege to be wealthy, then you have access to like tools and property and whatever you want to do whatever you want to do. Now, if you have access to intelligence, then that's going to be another privilege as well. That's going to open doors for you if you can speak a certain language in a certain way to certain people. Like that's going to open doors for you. So then in the same way, some people use their physical presence as a tool for privilege, like their sex appeal. And again, and I don't think that's a bad thing or a good thing. It's not about that. But as a facilitator, it's good for us to be conscious of that. Like this is where someone might kind of like may be condescending to other people based on looks. Like some people judge people based on whether they got money or not. Some people judge people whether they are smart or not. And now we're talking about some people who are judging people based on whether they think they're attractive or not. You know. So then we're going to also encounter these people who, when they're talking on when they're discussing a topic with us on Taboo Free Talk, we're going to hear the tone and we're going to hear the language that kind of makes us believe that they're trying to communicate like they are superior, you know, in the looks category, or like that's a major category when it comes to relationships, or, you know, whatever it might be. So knowing that ahead of time allows us to remain neutral, you know, and be able to facilitate the discussion accordingly. And again, I think because, you know, we do care for people, it's important that we kind of like figure out how to let people express themselves without bullying other people or making other people feel bad. But can you see a situation where some people might take that kind of angle, like trying to like make?
I can see it happening, and not intentionally happen. You know, I can just see it happening if someone says something and they don't know specifically that they're hurting someone else's feelings because they're just talking and discussing an opinion that they have. And if something was like that to occur, then, you know, us as facilitators, we can kind of, you know, like kind of down or dim the conversation to the point where we're making everyone feel neutral, you know, as far as the one who has just accidentally put this person down. Because to be honest with you, I think to be a part of this, you're already, you know, putting your time and effort for it. And I'm quite sure, I mean, don't quote me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm quite sure that the individuals that we do bring on is not going to want to be, you know, putting others down because they're here for support. You know what I mean? But it can typically happen, especially with a group of individuals. You get about 6 or 7 people on here, and say we've been going live for all these days. You cannot tell me that we're not going to have one disagreement or someone hurting someone else's feelings. And it's not like it's intentionally happened. It's because we have different individuals, different personalities. We're from all over the U.S. You know what I mean? We have different type of styles, culture.
I think because, you know, we do care for people, it's important that we kind of like figure out how to let people express themselves.
Because we care for people, we gotta figure out how to let them express themselves. Because we care about people, we gotta. Because we care about people, we gotta let them express themselves.
I also got blind spots. You know, like that's like, you know, white supremacists who don't know they're white supremacists. You know, they might have blind spots. And then as a neutral facilitator, it's important for us to not attack them thing or another. Another thing too is like, because we are working with people who have been hurt, I want to be able to save space for people to be themselves. Before it becomes really challenging to, you know, facilitate these kind of discussions. But then this is where working as a team can benefit us. For instance, if me and you are on the live together and we're hosting some sort of talk, we can play off of each other. So if someone is using language that could be like offensive, and again, like you said, it could be by accident. Like for instance, as a male, I've had to check my language when it comes to gender. Like, you know, instead of man power, person power, or trying to be conscious of like gender neutral terms. You know, just because it doesn't really hurt me to do that, you know, why can't I, you know, adjust it if it's gonna be meaningful to someone else? I don't mind doing that. But I also got blind spots, you know, like that's like, you know, white supremacists who don't know they're white supremacists, you know, they might have blind spots. And then as a neutral facilitator, it's important for us to not attack them for their blind spots. But if it's me and you on the conversation, like, I could be more direct and be like, oh man, that sounds like that sounds sexist, or, you know, that sounds, and then we can label it. not in a negative, not in an aggressive way, but we can label it at the very least. That way, if someone is in the room that kind of heard it, they see that we did pick up on it, but we're also making space for that person to express themselves, you know? And then, so for instance, by me taking that direct route, the other facilitator, let's say you, can take a more like smooth route, then you can choose to channel the conversation in a way that's more beneficial than maybe that direction, for instance. But still, I want to be able to give space for people to really, you know, express themselves. But it doesn't mean that we don't take the opportunity to have a teaching moment if it's necessary, or we can bring it up later. Like, I think we'll know what to do in the moment, and by having this conversation ahead of time, it prepares us for when that happens, because at some point,
That's
you know,
true.
that it'll happen. But I think that as the facilitators, we always want to remain neutral where we don't get offended.
Let's leave it at that. As a facilitator, we always want to stay neutral. Neutral. You know, we can benefit from the comments of others. We can benefit from the richness of the conversations of those contributing. We can stay neutral and be better facilitators. We're gonna keep it at that for now. We'll finish this box in the box tomorrow. We have traveled through time. Jaden, can you tune us out? Man, JJ every day, bro.
Tune out. The Black Bear Party has presented The Real Will Talk Show, where we talk about friendship, love, and purpose. That was your host, JRX36, special guest, Jacob, IU, and another special guest over there,
Juju Boy, X37.
and we will see you next time.
That's right.
Take care now.
Bye.